Hi, my name's Sarah DeBore and welcome to Sarah DeBore Yoga. I am practicing on one of the decks at my parents' place, so please excuse the agapanthus, but it was the only place that I could fit the camera in. We have got the gorgeous Jess on location with us today. Jess, what are you sniffing back there? Probably mum and dad's cats who are both in hiding at the moment since the dogs are around. We are going to get started today in child's pose. So when you're ready, bringing the big toes to touch, knees out wide, hands reaching forward in front of you, and just sinking the hips back towards the heels. Let's make it an active child's pose today. So coming up onto the finger pads. So we're tenting the hands. The fingertips are driving into the mat. Our arms are lifted off of the mat and they're engaged. And it's almost like there's this sensation that we're pulling ourselves forward while sinking the hips back. So we're feeling that nice stretch through the arms. Let's walk the hands now, or walk those fingers over to the right. And really at the same time, we're drawing that left hip back and down so that we feel that nice stretching through the left side body. Holding here for a couple of breaths. And then we just walk those fingers back through center and over to the other side. So walking those fingertips over towards the left of the mat, sinking that right hip back towards the right heel, feeling that nice stretch all the way through the right side body. Bringing the hands back through center. And let's come up into our tabletop position. So knees in line with hips, hands are directly under our shoulders, fingers are spread nice and wide. We're gripping down into the mat with those fingertips. Breath in to dip the belly, gaze comes up, shoulder blades slide down the back. And then everything tucks under. And breath in, we dip the belly, gaze lifts. And on the exhale, tucking everything under. Let's do 3 more on our own. So breath in to dip the belly. And exhale, tucking everything under. And as we roll through our cat-cow, really making sure that we really push that tailbone up and then tuck it completely under. So really pushing down through the hands to curve through the spine. When you finish your final round, just coming into neutral. And then tucking the toes, drawing that belly in and up. Let's hover the knees off of the mat. So we're making sure that our shoulders are directly above our wrists. We draw that lower belly in and up. Let's make sure that we shorten that distance between the lower ribs and the frontal hip points. One more breath here. And on the exhale, let's lower the knees. And splash that out with a cat-cow. So breath in to dip the belly, gaze comes up. And exhale, tucking everything under. Coming back to neutral, and those toes are still tucked. Let's walk our hands back to our knees and sitting back onto those toes, or heels should I say. Let's draw those little toes out so that they're not missing out on our toe stretch. And if this is too intense for you, then you can come up and lift up any amount off of those heels. But otherwise, we're sitting back onto those heels, just opening up through those toes. So my parents live in the locality, I guess, of South Wollumla. So it's just out of town of, I guess, a really small town or a little village called Wollumla. And that is on the far south coast of New South Wales, roughly between Merimbula and Bega. And while I grew up in the area, I didn't grow up in this house. My parents built this after I left home, but The original home that I grew up in is just down the road, and it's a really beautiful part of the world. Let's come back onto all fours and kick out through the toes, just to give them a little bit of a massage. And breath in, right arm extends, left leg kicks back behind us, flexing those left toes towards the shin, lower belly draws in, left glute is engaged. Breath in to prepare, and exhale, elbow comes to knee. Inhale to extend, and exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale to extend, and exhale, elbow to knee. Once more, inhale, extend, and exhale, hand and knee come back down to the mat. Let's swap over to the other side. So left arm reaches out, right leg behind, engaging that right glute. Those right toes are flexed. Breath in to prepare, and exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale, we extend. Exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale to extend. Exhale, elbow to knee. And once more we extend, hand and knee, come back down to the mat. Let's tuck those toes and push up to our first downward facing dog. And let's open up through the back of those legs by pedaling one leg and then the other. You might like to do it a little bit slower or faster, whatever suits your body. Maybe you come straight into stillness. Do whatever feels good for your body today. Coming into stillness. Let's now walk the hands to the back of the mat. Breath in, half lift. Let's take the hands to the shins for this first one. Draw the shoulder blades back and exhale, releasing down to the mat. Let's do it again. Once more, breath in, hands to shins, shoulder blades draw back, and exhale to release. Taking a generous bend in those knees, let's ripple up to standing, one vertebrae at a time. And arms reach up and overhead. Hands through heart center, our Anjali Mudra. Breath in, arms reach up to the sky. And exhale, let's hinge at the hips to fold all the way back down to the mat. And breath in, half lift, fingertips to mat or shins. And exhale to fold. Walking ourselves out one hand at a time back to our high plank. And let's stay here in our high plank just for a moment. We'll work through the shoulders and core, making sure those fingers are spread nice and wide, feet are hip distance apart, drawing that lower belly in and up. One more breath here. And on the exhale, lowering the knees, untucking the toes and slowly lowering for a count of 5 to the mat. Elbows brush the ribs. Once we're here, arms come down by our sides, forehead on the mat, palms face down, pushing the toenails into the mat so the knees lift. Breath in, bringing the head and shoulders off of the mat, shoulder blades draw together, and exhale to lower. Breath in, head and shoulders off of the mat, and exhale to lower. This time, head, shoulders, and hands off of the mat. Really drawing those shoulder blades together. We'll stay for an extra breath. And on the exhale, lowering back to the mat, hands underneath the shoulders. Let's push back to our child's pose. And remembering child's pose, oh God, it's a great pose. It's available to you at any time in today's practice. Let's come up to downward dog when you're ready. And let's just come all the way up to the tippy toes. And we'll sink the heels over to the right. So we spin on the balls of the feet, taking the heels to the right. We bend through the knees and take the butt back towards the heels. So we feel that nice opening through the left side body. Breath in, we straighten through the legs. And
taking the heels over to the left this time, bending through the knees, taking the butt back towards the heels. Let's do that once more on either side. Breath in, spinning around, heels drop to the right, bending through the knees, stretching through the left side body. And once more, over to the opposite side. And coming back to our downward facing dog. Let's just take a really slow stroll to the top of the mat. Breath in, half lift, hands to shins, flat back. Exhale to release. And breath in, let's come all the way up to standing. Arms reach up and overhead. Exhale, hands through heart center. Let's just heel toe the feet together. So big toe mounds to touch. If this doesn't feel quite right for your body, then please take your feet hip distance apart. We're going to come through a round of Surya Namaskar B. I think we do a lot of A, not so much B. So let's get into a round of Surya Namaskar B or Sun Salutation B. Breath in, fingertips sweep the mat as we sit back into our Utkatasana. Arms are up overhead. Lower belly draws in, tucking the tailbone so we have that nice flat back. Let's all try to reach those arms up a little higher so the biceps are around the ears, and sit a little bit lower. Let's make this a nice slow Surya Namaskar B. I hear all groaning in the background, but 2 more breaths here because we want nice tight buns. And 1 more breath. And on the exhale, hands come down to the mat, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. And exhale, let's step back 1 foot at a time into our high plank without making a sound. Don't scrape those feet. Knees on or off, we lower chaturanga. Inhale, up dog or baby cobra. And exhale, hips up and back, downward facing dog. Breath in, right leg lifts. And on the exhale, we step that right foot directly behind the right wrist. Left foot comes out to 45, warrior 1. Let's work on our alignment here. So in our warrior 1, we want to face our hips square to the front of the mat. And in order to do that, you might need to make sure that you've got a nice wide stance. I don't know if you can see properly, but I'm almost at the width of my mat. So I've got a really nice, hip distance between my feet so that I can really square off my hips to the front, because otherwise I struggle. Arms are straight up. We're not hunching our shoulders towards our ears and drawing that lower belly in and engaging that left glute. One more breath here. And on the exhale, hands come back to the mat. Let's step back to our downward facing dog. Breath in, ripple forward to our high plank. Knees on or off, we lower chaturanga. Inhale, up dog or baby cobra, and back to our downward facing dog. On the breath in, our left leg rises high. And on the exhale, we bend that knee, bringing it towards our chest. That left foot steps right behind the left wrist. Right foot to 45 and rising up to our warrior 1. Once again, making sure that we square those hips off to the top of the mat. Arms reach strong overhead. I don't know if you can hear that in the background. I don't know if my mic picks it up, but mum and dad's next door neighbours are fanging around their property on a motorbike. So maybe not the most peaceful yoga class, but still fun nonetheless. And I've got Jess here keeping me company. Let's exhale, hands back down to the mat, stepping back to our downward facing dog. We ripple forward to high plank. Knees on or off, we lower chaturanga. Inhale to up dog or baby cobra. And exhale back to our downward facing dog. We'll take 3 breaths in here in our down dog. 2 more breaths. One more. And on the exhale, let's bend the knees deeply, draw that lower belly in, and either step or lightly hop to the top of the mat. Inhale, half lift, and exhale to fold. Let's inhale, sweep the fingertips on the mat. We sit back to our chair pose, Utkatasana, drawing that lower belly in, tucking the tailbone, arms are reaching up nice and high. And let's change things up a little bit. Hands come to heart center, to prayer, palms to touch. And we're going to hook and twist our left elbow around the outside of the right knee. And we use that leverage to really draw ourselves into the twist, having a quick look down at the knees to make sure the left knee is in alignment with the right, and bringing that right shoulder back. So really working to draw the chest open towards the right. Breath in, we stand up, arms reach up and overhead. And on the exhale, sitting back into our Utkatasana chair pose, hooking the right elbow around the left knee this time. Making sure that that right knee isn't jutting out too far in front. And we're really using that right elbow to lever open, opening that top shoulder. And inhale, arms reach up and overhead, straighten through those legs. Exhale, hands through heart center and by your side to Tadasana, closing down the eyes just for a moment. Just for us to catch that breath again. And breath in, blink the eyes open, arms reach up and overhead. And exhale, hinge at the hips to fold all the way down to the mat. And breath in, half lift. And on the exhale, we're going to step the right leg back. So taking your time, we're stepping back into our runner's lunge. Landing that foot softly. We beam the chest forward, sinking a little bit into those hips. We're on the fingertips. One more breath here. And on the exhale, let's lower that right knee. Arms reach up to the sky, Anjaneyasana. You can keep the back toes or tucked, or you can untuck them. And on the next exhale, let's sweep those arms back behind us as we straighten through the front leg, half Hanuman. Really flexing those left toes towards the shin. If your arms are raised, really drawing those shoulder blades together and pulling that belly in. Hands can come down to the mat for support, but tucking the back toes will also give you a lot of extra support here. Breath in, we sweep the arms back up into our Anjaneyasana, low lunge. And on the exhale, right arm forward, left arm back into our open twist. Maybe taking that gaze to the back fingertips. And on the next breath in, left arm sweeps up to the front, both arms up and overhead, maybe taking a gentle back bend, gaze comes up. And exhale, hands down to the mat to frame that front foot. We simply step back into our downward facing dog. Breath in, ripple forward, high plank. Knees on or off, we lower chaturanga. Inhale, up dog or baby cobra. And exhale, back to our downward facing dog. And breath in, right leg lifts. And exhale, knee to chest, stepping that foot between our hands. We beam the heart forward. And on the exhale, we step to the top of the mat. So left leg lifts, and then that left foot meets our right foot at the top. Breath in, half lift. And exhale to fold. Breath in, we come all the way up to standing, arms reach up and overhead. And exhale, hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Breath in, arms reach up. And exhale, hinging at the hips to fold forward. Breath in, half lift, flat back. And exhale to fold. Once more, breath in, half lift, and exhale, folding back down to the mat. Taking just a few breaths here, opening up through the back of the hamstrings, releasing any tension in the neck and shoulders. It's a really noisy day that I've decided to record yoga. I hope it's not so noisy for you. The birds are making such a racket. Breath in, half lift. And on the exhale, left leg steps to the back of the mat into our runner's lunge. Breath in, beam the heart forward, sink those hips, feeling that nice opening through the front of the left hip flexor. One more breath in. And on the exhale, lowering the back knee, arms reach up, low lunge, Anjaneyasana, really switching on that left glute. You might like to keep the back toes tucked, or you can untuck them to test that balance. On the exhale, the arms sweep back as we straighten through the front leg, half Hanuman. Really flexing those right toes towards the right shin now, drawing those shoulder blades together, palms face down if your hands are lifted. Alternatively, they can come down to the mat for support. Feeling that nice opening all the way through the back of the right hamstring this time. And on the next exhale, bending back through the right knee, arms sweep back to our low lunge. And exhale, left arm forward, right arm back into the open twist. Maybe taking the gaze to the back thumb. And on the inhale, right arm sweeps to the front, both arms up and overhead. Maybe we take the gaze up, maybe there's a gentle back bend. And on the exhale, hands frame that front foot as we step back to our downward facing dog. Breath in, left leg lifts. And exhale, left knee to chest, stepping that foot forward. We come high onto the fingertips, beam the heart forward, and then the weight comes into the left foot as we step the right foot to the top of the mat. Breath in, half lift. And exhale to fold. Breath in, we come all the way up to standing, arms reach up and overhead. And exhale, we hinge at the hips to fold all the way back down to the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plant the hands and either step or lightly hop back into our chaturanga. Inhale, baby cobra or up dog. And exhale, back to our downward facing dog. Breath in, right leg lifts. Let's exhale, peel open the hip, bending at the knee, taking the heel towards our butt. On the next exhale, right knee taps right elbow. Inhale, send it back. Exhale, right knee to left elbow. Inhale, send it back. Exhale, right knee taps right elbow. Inhale, send it back. And once more, right knee taps left elbow. This time we hold and we kick that left leg out towards the side as the left arm peels up into a fallen triangle. What's up, Jessie dog? Left hand comes back down to the mat, right leg back up to the sky, three-legged dog. Breath in, right knee to chest, and let's step that foot between our hands, beaming the heart forward, runner's lunge. Exhale, arrowhead, arms by the side, shoulder blades draw together. Staying here for 2 breaths. Back leg is strong. And on the inhale, high crescent lunge, arms sweep up and overhead. We're just here for a moment before we anchor the back foot and open up into our warrior 2. Let's check our alignment. So we want our shoulders above our hips and roughly heel to heel alignment. The front knee is bending deeply. We're stacking above that right ankle and arms are out. Gaze comes down the middle finger. One more breath here. Let's straighten through that front leg, right arm lifts to the sky, reverse triangle. And setting up for our triangle pose, arms back to a T, reach forward for length as the hips go back, and exhale, the right hand comes inside the right shin, left arm reaches to the sky. Gaze can be up at the left fingertips or down towards the mat. And we're really using the back of that right hand to lever ourselves open. Using the strength of our core. Oh, that was a mutt fly trying to bite me, so I apologise for that quick manoeuvre if you saw that. Let's come back up to standing, and once again, reverse triangle, right arm reaches up and overhead. Exhale, hands at heart center, Skandasana towards the back of the mat. Right toes lift to the sky. And maybe here in this Skandasana, left hand can come down to the mat, right arm can reach open, and we use that left arm to really lever open that left knee, so we really feel that opening through the inner seam of the left leg. Exhale, both hands to the mat. Let's walk ourselves all the way back to the top of the mat into our simple twist. Left hand down, right arm up to the sky. And exhale, right hand sweeps down to the front of the mat. Let's straighten through the front leg into our pyramid variation. So we're high on the ball of the back foot, using our fingertips for support. Making sure that we work to draw that right hip crease back as the front of that left hip comes forward. Bending back through that front knee, runner's lunge. And exhale, left knee drops, Anjaneyasana, arms reach to the sky. Let's take the hands to prayer at heart center. We hinge forward at the hips and hook and twist the left elbow around the outside of the right knee. Once again, really levering that chest open. And tucking the back toes, we're going to really engage that left glute, draw the belly in and push up to a high twisted lunge. Taking our gaze down towards the front foot. Slow and with control, we're going to attempt to step up into a twisted Utkatasana. So don't worry if you don't make it in one step, but let's try and take the weight into the right foot, and maybe those toes on the left foot drag across the mat as we step up into our Utkatasana. Releasing, arms reach up to the sky. Let's stretch through those legs. And exhale, hands through heart center by our side, Tadasana. Maybe shutting down those eyes, maybe wiggling out through those legs, taking any jiggles, anything that you need to do to loosen up through those legs. Breath in, arms reach up. And exhale, hinging at the hips to fold all the way back down to the mat. Breath in, half lift. And exhale to fold. Let's step back to our high plank. And we knees on or off lower chaturanga. Inhale to up dog. And exhale back to our downward facing dog. Breath in, left leg lifts. And exhale, let's peel open that hip, bending at the knee, taking the heel towards the butt. On the exhale, left knee taps left elbow. Inhale, send it back. Left knee taps right elbow. Inhale, send it back. Left knee to left elbow. Inhale to send that left back, or left leg back. And once more, left knee taps the right elbow. We're staying here though, kicking that left leg out. We do spin onto the ball of the back foot, and we come into our fallen triangle, so right arm to the sky. One more breath here. And on the exhale, right hand back to the mat, back to our three-legged dog. And on the next exhale, knee to chest. Let's plant that foot between the hands and come into our runner's lunge. So we puff that chest forward. Let's really engage that right glute. We use the strength of our core to rise up into our high crescent lunge. We're just here for a moment before we carve the air, opening up to our warrior two. Anchoring that back foot, making sure that our left knee is stacking directly above that left ankle. Shoulders are in line with hips. Gaze is down the middle finger on the front hand. One more breath here. And on the exhale, let's straighten through that front leg. Reverse triangle, left arm sweeps up to the sky. And on the inhale, arms back to a T. Front leg is still straight. We reach forward for length. And on the exhale, left hand comes to the inside of the left shin, right arm to the sky into our Trikonasana. Gaze can come to the right fingers or be down at the mat for a little bit of extra stability. Using the strength of our core, we'll lift back up into our reverse triangle, left fingers up to the sky, and exhale, bending through the back knee, Skandasana to the back of the mat. Left toes are lifted. And if the right heel doesn't come to the mat, that's not to worry. You can have the hands down at the mat for support, but we just want that back nice and straight. Maybe the right hand comes down to the mat and we use the outside, so the tricep of the right arm pushes into that right knee to open it up and left arm reaches to the sky. And then we walk ourselves all the way to the top of the mat into our simple twist. Right hand plants, left arm up and open. That back leg is really super strong here. And on the exhale, left hand comes down to the mat. We straighten through the front leg into our pyramid variation. Remembering that we can have as much of a bend in that front knee as we need in order to reach the mat. One more breath here. And on the exhale, we bend through the left knee, beam that chest forward, runner's lunge. And on the exhale, right knee drops to the mat. We untuck the toes, Anjaneyasana, arms reach up and back. On the exhale, hands come to prayer at heart center. We draw that belly in and up. We hinge at the hips to tip forward, and then we hook and twist the right arm or the right elbow on the outside of the left leg, really working into that twist. We tuck the back toes now, take the gaze down to the ground for support, and then we straighten through that back leg so the back knee lifts off of the mat. Back leg is super strong. We're really working to take that left shoulder back. And once again, we're looking to challenge our strength and balance and step up into our twisted Utkatasana. So keeping that gaze at the left foot, we bring the weight into that left foot as we try and step that right foot up to the top into our twisted chair. And on the exhale, let's reach those arms up to the sky and straighten out through those legs. Whew. Exhale, hands to heart center and by our sides to Tadasana. Jess, where are you off to? So Jess is on a lead today because Mum and Dad have two cats, as I mentioned, and Jess likes to chase kitty cats, don't you, Jess? Breath in, arms reach up, and exhale, diving straight back down to the mat. Breath in, half lift, and exhale to fold. Let's either step or jump back into our chaturanga. Elbows brush the ribs. Breath in, baby cobra or up dog, and exhale back to our downward facing dog. Breath in, bend the knees, exhale, pull up through the belly and step or lightly hop to the top of the mat. What's up, Jessie dog? Breath in, half lift, and exhale to fold. I know what's up with Jess. She can sniff that Daddy's woken up from his afternoon nap and she wants to hang out with him, don't you? Breath in, sweep the fingertips on the mat, sitting back into our chair pose, Utkatasana, lowering our butt back down, hands come to heart center, and we're simply going to take our butt all the way down to our heels. Once we're here, we might just stay right here, balancing on our heels, or alternatively, we might like to have a crack at side crow. If we're doing side crow, we're going to twist around, hook that right elbow on the outside of that knee. So right elbow comes to the outside of the left knee, maybe even taking the left hand to the outer left thigh to really work into that twist and really bring that right tricep down. We take our hands down towards the ground, towards the mat, and our fingers face forward off to the left side of the mat as we slowly tip forward, shifting our weight, chaturanga arms, maybe one leg lifts, maybe both legs lift. And exhale, coming back down to the mat. Let's stand up, arms stretch up and overhead. And exhale, hands through heart center. Let's flush that out with a little flow and before we come out to the other side. Breath in, arms reach up. Exhale, hinge at the hips to dive down to the mat. Breath in, half lift. Exhale, folding and stepping back to our high plank or jumping straight into chaturanga. From chaturanga, it's up dog or baby cobra. And exhale, hips up and back into our downward facing dog. Breath in, bend the knees, exhale, pull up through the belly and step or lightly hop to the top of the mat. Breath in, half lift, exhale to fold. Sweeping the fingertips on the mat, we sit our butt back into Utkatasana, tucking the tailbone in, hands come to heart center, and then we slowly lower our butt all the way down to our heels, and maybe we're just balancing here, like working on our balance, which is a very good place to be, or maybe we try our side crow. If we're trying the side crow, we twist around to the right hand side this time and we hook the outer left tricep or the left elbow on the outside of the right thigh. You can take the right hand to the outside edge of the right thigh to really push that thigh in and work to twist deeper so that we really get the outer tricep right up that leg. From there, hands come down to the mat or towards the ground. They're shoulder width apart, fingers are spread nice and wide, and then we bend at the elbows to come into our side crow. Maybe one leg lifts, maybe both legs lift. I've got to say this is quite difficult, side crowing in Jess's face. And then we come back to the mat. Well done, even if you were balancing that whole time on your toes. And breath in, half lift. Exhale to fold. Plant those hands. Let's step or jump back into chaturanga. One final flow. Breath in, up dog, and hips up and back to our downward facing dog. Let's simply bend our knees and jump into a seated position at the top of the mat. Whew. Let's extend those legs long in front of us. And we'll take the right sole of the foot into the inner seam of that left thigh. Let's breathe in, reach up for length, and exhale, we fold over this left leg. And look, you can take hold of the foot if it's within reach, or just let the hands come to rest on either side of the mat. But I personally prefer to take my right hand out to the outer blade edge of that left foot and then thread my left arm in to the other side of that foot. So if that makes sense, it's like I'm crossing my hands over, and that just helps me get a bit more stability with my hips. So I keep my hips a little bit more level, and then from there I straighten any amount through that leg and draw myself just a little bit more forward. But I'm really thinking about lengthening the spine on the inhale, and on the exhale hinging at the hips to fold in a bit deeper. Once you're there, just really letting go of any tension in the head and neck. Making sure those shoulders aren't hunched up too much around those ears, so letting go of any tension in those shoulders. Releasing any hold of the feet, coming back up to seated. Right hand plants outside the right hip, and we use the left arm to sweep up and open into our stargazer. Oh, that cool breeze is glorious. Is there rain coming, Jess? I hope so. I could do with a cool off. And our hips sit back down to the mat. Let's stay where we are, but let's take I know that I'm facing away from you, but I want us to face towards that, that right bent knee. So it's almost like the left leg is coming out to the side, and we're going to breathe in, arms come up and overhead, and this time we're just coming over into a bit of a side twist. So the left hand can come to rest on the shin or inside that left leg, and we're using that right arm to reach up and over, but we really want to spiral that chest open. So I don't want you to dump down and forward, but we're keeping that chest up and open. So that might mean that we don't come as deep into that side bend as we might want to come, but we just want to keep that chest open so that we feel the opening up through that right side. And on the next inhalation, we come back up to seated. You okay, babe? And just shimmy the hips back to the center of the mat. Let's take the left sole of the foot now to the inner seam of that right thigh. We want our hips sort of facing forward here in our Janu Shavasana. So arms reach up, we sit up nice and straight, and on the exhale, we fold forward. Remembering your hands can plant on either side of that foot. They can take hold of the foot. And as I like to do, right hand is going to come to the inside arch of the left or the right foot, and my left hand is just going to thread around to the outer blade edge. And then I use that leverage to sort of keep my hips square as I draw myself in a little bit deeper, but never yanking yourself in, and certainly never doing anything that hurts that body or is too intense of a stretch. We want to really think about lengthening that spine and hinging from the hips. Coming back up to seated, releasing any grip of the hands. The left hand plants behind the left hip. Right arm sweeps up and open into our stargazer. Opening up through the whole front of the body now. And exhale, hand comes back down towards the mat as we just shimmy our hips open a bit so that we face that left leg this time. We're coming into that side stretch. So let's sit up nice and straight, arms reach up, and on the exhale, the right hand comes either to rest on the right shin or just inside the shin, and the left arm comes up and overhead, and we're not remembering to not dump in like this. We're keeping our chest up and open, so spiraling up towards the sky or towards the ceiling. Mum's next door neighbours have cattle, and so there's a whole bunch of cows just hanging out in the paddock in front of me, and kind of, they were just chomping on grass, but now they're watching me. They're very cute. On the breath in, we come back up to seated. And we'll just shimmy our hips back around to the front. Let's take the soles of the feet to the mat, hip distance apart, hands behind us, fingertips facing towards our hips. And let's push down through the heels as we come into our reverse tabletop, lifting those hips up towards the sky, really aiming to really switch those glutes on so we can push up, up, up. Holding just for another breath. And on the exhale, hips come back down to the mat. We take the arms out in front of us. Jess, you're so hard done by, huh? What's all that carrying on about? And let's slowly lower down to the mat, one vertebrae at a time. Once we get here, hugging those legs in towards the chest, maybe taking a little massage out through the lower back. And then soles of the feet come to the mat. We'll take one round of bridge. So just let's walk those feet in a little bit closer. They're hip distance apart, hands by our sides, face down. Draw that belly in as we peel the tailbone up and lift the hips up towards the sky, really engaging the glutes. And making sure that we keep our knees tracking forward. They're not splaying out to the side. We really want to think about that imaginary block that we're clasping between our knees. So there's a nice hip distance between the knees. Maybe we interlace the fingers underneath the back, making that little fist, in which case we roll the shoulder blades underneath and use that fist to push into the mat and lift the chest up a little higher. Two more breaths here. And on the exhale, we slowly lower down towards the mat. Just resting here in neutral for a moment. We'll take the feet to the width of the mat, arms come out to a T, and let's just drop the knees over to the right. Coming into our supine twist, maybe the gaze comes over the left shoulder. Jessie dog, what's up? And on the breath in, knees come back up through center, and then they just drop over to the opposite side, maybe taking that gaze over the opposite shoulder. Knees come back up through center. And let's take legs up the wall pose as our final pose today. So legs straight up. Maybe you want to get your arms in on the action, in which case shoulders stay on the ground and hands going to just sort of flop around. Maybe we take our dead bug, or if you don't want the arms up, they can be just down by the side. Drawing that lower belly in. And you can take the hands underneath the butt or underneath the hips if you need that extra support. Lowering the legs when you're ready and getting ready for your Shavasana. So maybe grabbing a pillow or a blanket or an extra layer if you'd like to put some extra clothing on. And then when you're ready, coming down to lay on the mat. So taking up as much room as you like. So the feet drop out to the sides, palms face up.
I really endorse starfishing out, so you take up as much room as you can. If you've got that room at home, then why not use it? And shutting down the eyes when you're ready. Doing a scan of the body, releasing any tension, especially in the jaw, through the neck and shoulders. Taking a few moments here to yourself. Slowly wriggling through the fingers and toes, just bringing some awareness back to the body. Maybe rolling through the wrists and the ankles. Arms can reach overhead as we take a full body stretch. Rolling onto your favourite side. Keeping those eyes closed if you can, as we push up to a comfortable seat. Maybe that's kneeling or cross-legged. Hands come to our heart center, Anjali Mudra. Thank you for practicing with me today. I hope you enjoyed your class. Namaste. I don't know whether you can see me behind those agapanthus, but thank you very much for practicing. My name's Sarah DeBore. You've been watching Sarah DeBore Yoga. We've had Jess somewhat chilled, somewhat panicking in the background because she's worried she's missing out on hangouts with Dad, who's numero uno. If you enjoyed this class, then think about subscribing to my channel, and hopefully I see you on the mat again soon. Namaste. Go on, off you go.